The police have now arrested suspended Labour councillor Ricky Jones, but to find out why this might be more serious than it might at first seem, and to find out why some commenters in my comment section have ironically made themselves look silly whilst trying to make me look silly, stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel. If I may first say, if you want the raw, unbiased, objective truth, then please subscribe to my channel. If you want a refreshing change from the standard media, subscribe to my channel. About 70% of you that regularly watch, out of the millions of that you watch every month, don't do that. I'd really appreciate that, and it would help me to reach a wider audience. I will also talk to you about my own personal legal cases that I'm involved with in due course, and I've got other channels where I tell you my opinions on black belt secrets, and I'll help you to create wealth on my other channel, Daniel Shensmith, also linked below. But now let's get into the video. So thank you for watching my original video, which I will link below in case you missed that. But the Met Police have already responded to update to say that officers have arrested a man aged in his 50s at an address in southeast London. Now, some people might be wondering why it's so vague. Well, the reason it's written like that is because everybody is afforded the same courtesies under the law. They are innocent until proven guilty. The case must be proved against them, and they don't want to jeopardize any proceedings, and neither will I, because I'm not a fan of committing contempt of court. Which is why everything that I say is never to be taken as fact or drawing a conclusion. They are only ever observations and never with the intent of skewing the proceedings. Much less so now that they are live, now that he's been arrested. But as to why this might be a little bit more serious than it might at first seem, I'll come back to that in a moment. But first, a word or two to one or two commenters in the comment section, just to remind them that my videos are not live. Meaning if you commented on my first video now, then of course now he has been arrested, even though you are watching my video that was recorded before he was arrested. That's how the passage of time works. But anyway, back to why this might be a little bit more serious. The police have confirmed that he's held on suspicion of encouraging murder and for an offence under the Public Order Act. So it suggests that there are two separate potential charges here. One for general public order, which would be any of the things that I covered in my previous videos. And secondly, or firstly in this case, encouraging murder. Now, as our Al Robert Shaw discussed in his video, which I will also link below, so make sure you go and watch that, the potential punishment for encouraging an offence is the same as the offence itself. Now, of course, there's varying degrees on how the judge would apply such a sentence in such a case. Speaking generally, not about this case in particular, you understand, but generally speaking, if someone were convicted of such an offence, then the punishment is generally the same for the original offence. But once again, we will have to wait and see what happens. But that's not the end of the news update and bulletin for this evening. There is also an update from Greater Manchester Police regarding the airport incident, where they say as follows: "We understand that there is continued public interest and concern about the criminal investigations being led by Greater Manchester Police in a series of incidents at the Manchester airport in July. 4 men remain on police bail. Our major incident team," it goes on, "led by an experienced senior investigating officer, is making good progress in investigating alleged criminal offences against both the public and police officers. And we are committed to reaching a conclusion to the investigation as soon as possible in the interest of justice." Now, I know a lot of people will speculate to say we saw the videos, we know what happened, but trust me, there is always a lot more to it than meets the eye when you see these videos. In most situations, there is always a lot more to it, which is why police need to investigate it. They need to speak to more people. They need to see if there's more videos, CCTV, looking at things from different angles, body-worn cameras and all that sort of stuff. The police say this is a complex case, so we ask for public support in bearing with us while we make sure that the inquiries are completed thoroughly. And rightly, they should be done thoroughly. We also remain fully committed to supporting the IOPC-led investigation into our officers' actions. If you, and this is really important, if you have any information to support the police investigations, we urge you to upload information, images, footage to GMP's public portal. We have received lots of queries about the welfare of our officers and have passed these messages on to them. They are being well supported. So that's an update. Really, they are still looking into it. And as I say, there's always a lot more to these things than at first meets the eye, which is why you cannot draw speculation. We can only really trust that this investigation will continue. And that is not the end of the legal updates either. There's another update regarding Shamima Begum, who has now lost her final UK court attempt to overturn the decision to remove her British citizenship. The Supreme Court has said that she is not allowed to appeal against the earlier Court of Appeal decision because the Supreme Court said that it does not raise an arguable point of law, meaning that this was her last chance within the UK, at least, to try to challenge the revocation of her citizenship within the UK legal system. Her lawyers have said, on the other hand, that they will take the case to the European Court of Human Rights. And meanwhile, she remains in a camp controlled by armed guards in northern Syria. But many people will now ask, what does this really mean? And can the European Court of Human Rights overrule the UK system and force the UK to reverse its decision? And so to that end, I'm going to put this on screen from the Supreme Court, which outlines the relationship between the Supreme Court and Europe, the relationship between the UK Supreme Court, the European Court of Human Rights, and the Court of Justice of the European Union. In short, the Human Rights Act requires UK courts, including the Supreme Court, to take account of decisions of the European Court of Human Rights, which sits in Strasbourg. UK courts are not required, however, always to follow the decisions of that court. Indeed, they can decline to do so, particularly if they consider that the Strasbourg court has not sufficiently appreciated or accommodated particular aspects of our domestic constitutional position. As to the Supreme Court's relationship with the Court of Justice for the European Union, as I said, you can screenshot this and read it in full if you wish. The position did change with Brexit. Firstly, UK courts, including the Supreme Court, are not bound by any decision made after the 31st of December 2020, and the UK courts, including the Supreme Court, may have regard to that court's decisions if relevant, but are generally not obliged to follow them. And that is still not the end of these legal updates. I know I'm cramming a lot into one video, but sometimes there's not enough to talk about, and sometimes there's so much I just have to cram it into one video. So 2 men have been jailed in the first televised sentencing hearings over these riots, and so I thought I would share this with you as well.
In your case, John O'Malley, for the offence of violent disorder, the sentence is 32 months imprisonment. In your case, William Nelson Morgan, for the offence of violent disorder, the sentence is also 32 months imprisonment. That sentence intended to reflect that offence and the associated offence of possessing an offensive weapon. For the associated offence, there will be a concurrent sentence of 6 months imprisonment, reflecting, as I have, the principle of totality. The total sentence is therefore one of 32 months imprisonment in your case. Because of your possession of the weapon, I am also satisfied that it is necessary to make a serious violence reduction order to protect the public from future harm. It will last for a period of 2 years and will not take effect until you are released from custody. Those are the sentences of this court. You may now both go with the officers. So
some people have asked how they've been sentenced so quickly. One of the reasons is it was very straightforward. Lots of it was on video and they pleaded guilty. And of course, the government's position is that these should be dealt with very quickly. These were just over 2.5 years each. Subsequent sentences for each of them were to run concurrently, which means at the same time, so it's not end to end, which would be consecutively. So if you had 2 consecutive sentences, they will be added together for the full period. That is often when there are different victims or over a long time span or something like that, and therefore the judge orders that they run consecutively, one after the other, obviously extending the sentence, meaning that they go to prison for a longer time because of the seriousness of the offences. So I hope you found those useful updates. As I've said in the last couple of videos, thank you to all of you that have subscribed, by the way, in response to my request that you do so, because about 70% of people that regularly watch don't subscribe. Make sure you don't unsubscribe, as one person said they almost did when they tried to subscribe because they were already subscribed. But at the same time, if you think you're subscribed already, make sure you are, because YouTube for some reason unsubscribes people randomly. I don't know why it does that. I think it's testing whether you check whether you're subscribed or not. Things like that. Maybe it thinks people are bots because they just watch and don't comment. I don't know what the reason is, but please do make sure you subscribe. I really appreciate that. About 70% don't, and I would really love to grow my audience to let me know that I'm competing with the big media channels. I would like to think that I give you objective unbiased, raw truth, and I will answer questions. If you want my opinions, then they might be limited depending on whether it's going to interfere with the course of justice in any of these cases, so I'm somewhat limited, but you'll find some of my opinions over on Black Belt Secrets in the description below. And if you'd like my ideas and my guidance on how to make money, create wealth, build businesses, and those kind of things, you'll find those on my other channel, Daniel Shensmith, which I'll also link below. I'm trying to grow that channel with enough hours in the day. Please do go and subscribe, support my channels there, and I'll see you over there. But in the meantime, thanks for watching.